What's up? Christian is bored. Finally some entertainment. Glad I could help you out with that, Christian. What are you up to? Working on anything fun? I am going to share my screen, and it's like one issue I'm having with the landing page for the Astro CORS site. So I think I have it running. At least the MVP version of this, I think, is done, with the exception of one thing. I think it looks decent. There's also a deployed. Something's wrong with the domain config. Oh, there it is. It's actually working now. Okay. So here is the live site. I'm gonna paste it in at astrocors.dev. So the domain stuff just propagated through. And I'm also gonna turn. How loud is that music? Feels like slightly loud to me. I'm gonna put that down. So this site is live, which is great. But the issue that I'm having is with handling newsletter signup. So right now what I've done, let me make sure that I remove my existing account, because that will cause issues. Which is weird, because if you try to subscribe to something twice, they tell you like error signing up instead of actual like telling you that you've already signed up, which is silly. There's deleted customer. Okay, so that was me. So right now you can embed a form in your site, and it basically just like sends the submission to the Podia domain, which is fine. So I can click sign up. It redirects me over. I just copied over like basic information into the Podia landing page. So the designer for this is like very limited, as you can probably tell. Like you get very limited control over all this stuff, which is actually really annoying. And so I want to be able to keep people on this domain, on a localhost domain. And so what I have, maybe make this a little bit bigger, is two things. I can get rid of this form tag and use this other one. And so it's going to do a prevent default, and then basically allow me to intercept that form submission and then send that over to Podia's domain myself, is basically what I'm trying to do. And all of that actually works locally. So one issue is I can't send this. I can't send it directly to the Podia domain from here, from the front end. I have to send that to a backend endpoint. So I send it to my backend endpoint, subscribe, and then that thing grabs the information and sends it over to Podia. So if I do this locally and maybe go into the network tab, I should see that this is working. Yeah, so let's do this, sign up, and that seems to work. So that goes through all of here and gets down to this part. So if it was a status other than 200, it would have caught it. If it was a 404, it would have caught it. If there was an actual like thrown error, it would have caught it. So this seems to work locally. And I'm actually curious. So if I go back to my customers, and that was at 124, it is now 126. So I think this was maybe the time before this. Let's actually delete this and just prove that this actually comes all the way through. So let's come back to Astro CORS website and come back here. Let's try this again. See that works. And then hopefully what we'll see is that actually, so this actually works locally. What happens though is when I deploy this to Netlify, and I don't know why, it breaks, which is really frustrating. So let me delete this customer again, and let's go and actually deploy this again, I guess. Podia subscribe on own domain, I guess. Let's let that build and then we'll see. Christoph, what's up? I'm trying to debug adding like email sign up for my course landing page, and you have to do a couple things to make this work, but it works locally. But then when I deploy this to Netlify, it like stops working, which I really am just confused about. So that's what I'm trying to look at now. Kevin on YouTube, hello, what's up? So this is what I want to debug, and I just wonder if other people have ideas on what could be going wrong, because I just, for the life of me, I can't figure it out. I have this in my teeth the whole time. Wow, what a mess to deploy. Alexander, great question about CORS. So there was originally an issue with CORS, and the issue with CORS was that I couldn't send, like, from this form. Let me refresh. I showed you from this form. I couldn't take this stuff and then do a fetch request to the Podia domain in the front end because of CORS. So what I did was basically proxy that through a backend endpoint that I created. To answer your question, Kevin, is the site SSR? It is SSR, which is why I'm able to have this endpoint running as a serverless function in Netlify. And yeah, so Amjad, what's up? So yes, CORS was an issue, but I've now like proxied the request basically through my own backend endpoint, which locally works. And let's just see. Okay, so on the actual domain, course.dev, here it is. Let's scroll down. What's really weird to me is I like literally get no feedback. Let's try climb this up. It returns a 500 from my endpoint. It just says error in here. So let's go back and look at this. So this is what it triggered. So after making the request to Podia, it didn't trigger a 404. It triggered another status, which is not 200. And I could also, like, I've done this before. I could do that. But it doesn't give me, like, inside. It returns with an empty object in the response, which is interesting. I wonder how I could get more details about that. But I could log the status. But anyway, this is basically the code that it triggers to not work. Kevin says, can I see the folder structure? Yeah. So let's make this a little bit bigger. So under pages /API /newsletter, there's a subscribe endpoint. So that's what in the network tab. So this is a little deceiving because this network request is going from my front end to my back end. So from the front end to the serverless function, which in the serverless function then sends the request to Podia. So this is what we see, but this is the response coming back from my serverless function. And inside of Netlify, someone asked this, inside of here, under functions, there is, well, I guess nothing coming in. What about the last hour? So it logged out the form data, which I think I still had an old log in there for the form data. Or was it? Yeah, there it is. So it was logging out the form data. So it gets the form data correctly, seems to. And then I didn't have any extra logging in there. Kevin's saying try updating the Netlify adapter. So I've got 2.2.0 Netlify Astro. After I'm kind of curious what version it's on. 2.2.2, and I had 2.2, so I may actually already have that. But install Astro JS Netlify latest. Updated Netlify. Push and rebuild and see. Alexander, have I replicated that locally and tested with an exposed domain like ngrok or Cloudflare tunnel? I have not been able to replicate this locally because it works locally. So I can't figure out what the difference is between what I'm doing here and what's in Netlify. I just can't figure that out. Wonder if Podia has any logs or a domain whitelist. Not that I know of. I don't know. I don't even know where I would look for. I almost certainly don't. I don't think there's anything private in here either. Secure verify customer email on login. Email. Payments. Integrations. See, this would be really nice if it went the other way, where I could connect to something that does have an API and then go this way. Or then go to Podia. Domain. Verify. If you already own your domain, you can set up Podia in your store. The domain for. So I do have a subdomain set up, which even when I tried this from my James Q Quick domain, it still didn't work. Don't have any of that. Messaging. Team. Yeah, I don't think there's anything in there for a whitelist. How did you test locally with it? Okay, in fairness, I did not test this with the Netlify CLI. Let's try that. Netlify dev. That's going to be the command. Possible start commands would be possible start commands. Yeah. Dev, right? Whoa. Is that supposed to be? Is that right? The start command is Astro dev also? Is that right? That feels not right. Huh, it is. Is that like, this is just boilerplate from a new Astro project? Feels like that's not right, but okay. Let's do the dev. Yes, it's right. It doesn't look right, but it's in like both of my projects that. Huh. Oh, let me stop this and then let's run Netlify dev on 3000. Christian says it's right. Okay, so this is now running at 3000. Is that this one? Or is this the post 3000? Scroll down. That was a 200 as well. So that works locally with Netlify dev. Looks right to me. When I started my new site migration, looks just like that. Revertables on Twitch. Thank you. Yeah, it seems odd, but that's what I've got in a couple of different projects, so whatever. So this is again where, like, if I come back to Astro CORS, I've not messed with Astro, Podia, or Netlify, so I don't know what is happening. Basically trying to send a post request to the Podia domain and simulate a form. So instead of redirecting the user to Podia, I can actually keep them on my page. So let's look. So this is on the real site. So this is after we push the latest version of the Netlify adapter. And I think we have an extra log in here. Comes back with an error inside of here. Let's go real time. Or maybe I actually need to do last hour now. Just refresh it. So coming back from Podia, came back with a 500. Zokin, love the content, James. Thank you. Or keep it up. Thank you. Appreciate that. Welcome. For people that I maybe haven't chatted with before, if you want to share anything about your background, like how far along you are in your learning journey, maybe you're a seasoned developer, maybe you're just getting started. I'd love to know that kind of stuff. So it sends this request, it sends the form data, and it gets back a 500 response. And what's crazy, if it's not, so where is this? It's triggering down here. And I've tried like logging. Well, you can see I sent back the response. I don't know if like you just can't quite send back a full actual HTTP response like that. Maybe I'm not sure, but you can see in the request that it's what it returns back what am I looking at here, is like an empty object for the response. My background is I just called you 5head in Discord. Did I miss that? Is that like where I didn't see that? But that's cool, I guess. In a nice way, of course, not a sarcastic jerk way. I'll keep an eye out for that then. So yeah, I can't figure out anything different from here, from local to Netlify. And it just all of a sudden is throwing Podia subscribe API throws 500. So your Elijah may not know how to just structure the response. You might want to do a JSON stringify prior to logging. Yeah, I could do that. So we could send back a response, or we stringify the response. And I can also log the response in here. Or logging. We'll wait for that to build too. It was a reaction to the new bootcamp thing. It's all good. Okay, fair enough. I got my first job as a front-end dev 1.5 years ago. Since then, I'm soaking as much as content as I can. Awesome. That's super cool. What kind of job or what kind of stuff are you working with in your front-end job? Just general JavaScript, a framework, any neat tools and stuff that you work with? Alexander, oh, you're doing that. Yeah, I figure we'll try it out and see. First off, that's a good idea. So incognito, let's go to Astro course.dev. Course updates. Tribe failed. Fun times. Whew. It's a tough life. Stefan, what's up? I work as a full stack dev and Node, React, Angular, etc. Nice. That's a ton of fun stuff that you get to work with. Coding Garden, I believe, just rated over. What's up? What's up? How are you doing? Got a rate and run? Totally understand. I have to do that a lot myself. So, but thank you for coming over. I appreciate it, and welcome everyone. For like a little bit of context, I'll come like full screen for a minute. So I'm James Q Quick. I do web development content on YouTube and TikTok and Twitch streaming. And so right now I'm working on launching a brand new course focused on a framework called Astro. And I'm working on the landing page and specifically an issue that I'm having. Let me grab this link and I'll share again for people if they want to go check it out. Oh, actually, it doesn't, you don't have to go to the newsletter section. So it could just be without the hashtag newsletter. But when I sign up for my newsletter, it works locally and then doesn't work when I deploy it to Netlify. So if people have ideas on how to fix this or figure out what's wrong, I'm all about it. But once again, welcome everyone on Twitch that just joined us. Brad, what's up, man? Brad, I feel like this would be right up your alley for stuff to fix. So please figure it out. Let's see. Joseph, been a software engineer full-time for 6 years, mainly web world, Angular.net. Got more into React world than Next.js and stuff. Very cool. I just released a video on Next.js earlier today. Brad, yeah, so I use Podia for my course platform. Podia does not have an API. The thing that I want to do is not have people go to my Podia page. I want to sign them up on my personal custom site because Podia does not allow for a great way to customize the site, the landing pages that they give you. So I want to have a form on my site where I can send a fetch request to Podia, keep them on my site, and then show them a message to say like, yeah, this worked, blah, blah, blah. Jadaba, you get bonus points for watching on Twitch and YouTube. Absolutely. So all that works locally, Brad. What I do is I have a newsletter form and I send it to a backend endpoint. So I can't make the request directly from my front end to the backend because of CORS. So they don't allow requests. They don't allow cross-origin requests, which Google Chrome or Chrome browsers prevent. And because of that, then I send this through to a backend endpoint inside of Astro. And it basically takes that same data and then forwards it on to my Podia API. So this all works locally. When I deploy this to Netlify, it breaks, and I have no idea. Ali, can you check out SST? What's SST? Would be great to check to host in Vercel or somewhere else. That would be interesting to compare that. I may check that later. Yeah, they don't have a public API. They might be doing cross-site request forgery token protection against our. You'll probably also need to add a header to make the request like it's coming from a web client on Podia. That's interesting. Any idea how I would figure out like what that header is or how that's generated? And it's also just super weird that it works locally but not deployed. Irritated that I don't get it. Yeah, so let's go back to Netlify. I'm kind of trying to keep up with everybody's comments and stuff. So mentioned looking at the request in here. We just did some extra logging. So let's try this again, and then we'll see the logs in Netlify. So fail. It should pull. Great point on environment variables. I think a couple of people mentioned that. I have double checked those, and everything seems to be coming through appropriately. So if we scroll to the top, you can see that this is making the request to the right spot. So this is the one piece of this that is coming from an environment variable is this one. And it's pulling, since it has an ID in the URL, that is actually, that's actually working. I logged out the form data just to show that like the stuff that I submit from the front end to the back end is red. And then we submit that to Podia. And this is the full response that they give back with basically no useful information in it as far as I can tell. So the error that I'm getting, or this is the status context, is internal server error. This is coming back from Podia. So what I've done is here surround all of this with a try catch. So I'll try to make this request. They can, if you send the wrong newsletter ID, it'll return a 404. So I handle that and propagate that back to the user or to the calling application. Then I check if it's not a status of 200, then I log out that full request. And this was a 500. So the request going to and coming back from Podia responded with a 500. And then if none of those get triggered, I handle the success case here. Let me know if they may allow for localhost but not other domains. Yeah. So yeah, multiple comments. So Brad, you said they don't have a public API though, right? Yes, they do not. Oftentimes, localhost works on those for development. The refer and origin headers are the ones that tell the server what address web client was on. You may need to fake those. Okay. So we're saying, seems like a couple of people are on the idea that like if they may allow like a blanket acceptance of localhost requests and not even be thinking about us doing it externally, they may be just trying to do that for their own testing maybe, and it is available for us. Yeah, so Brad, everybody's got great points, so we'll do that in a second, where we sign up an account and watch the network tab. We'll do that next. Christian saying, however, this means that the error 500 does not come from Netlify functions, but from Podia. Yes, exactly. 100%. Alexander, which is interesting because it could have responded back with something more relevant, I would think. Alexander saying, do we need to await res.json in here? We don't, because that doesn't actually return JSON. It returns HTML. So we don't actually need the actual data from the body necessarily. But particularly in this case, we couldn't convert it to JSON because it's HTML. So we could potentially do something like res.string or something. Is there a string? Like just give me a string version of this. Res.status text. Is that something? I don't even know. Let's log this as well. Let's log I think this is just going to be HTML. And then let's not log the res.body. If it's res.body, you don't have to parse that. Okay, that works. And then let's not log the res there. And updated logging. What a mess. Okay, while we're doing that, actually, one more question, Christoph. In CORS options, you have to specify the origin. So, Christoph, in this case, I don't control the Podia backend, so I can't control who they allow cross-origin requests from. That shouldn't be a factor, regardless. Shouldn't be a factor, regardless, when I make the request from the server. If that makes sense. Alexander, if it's HTML, res.body, cool. I got that. So let's go and try. I have to go back and find the actual product. Podia doesn't have. Hey Daniela, if Podia doesn't have a public API, how are you doing this? Well, great question. So when we go to view sales page, and if anybody wants to look at this, you can. Here's a link. This is relatively public. So what we can do is we can watch the network tab, and we can. Is there a way to select in here like form submissions? Because we want to basically we're going to reverse engineer the request that they make from their own domain. Is what we're doing, Daniela. So we have I had that whole thing set up, but there's something I'm missing. Which one of these? Make sure to preserve log. Yes, it's preserved. Which one of these would make sense? Should I just show all? Because this doesn't show because it's not a fetch request. Fetch exit. Does that include for just the site? Maybe it does. So Stefan, you're saying CORS enabled, but and Joseph says show all. Cool, we'll show all for now. So CORS is only an issue from the browser. CORS is the thing that's implemented from the browser. So the server doesn't care. If the server makes a request to your domain and you don't send back a header that supports CORS, the server doesn't care. It's the browser specifically that actually pays attention to those headers and prevents the request. All right, tech layers is saying show them all, and we'll filter. Perfect. So let's do. Yeah, Tony's got it in there. CORS does not affect the backend. Yeah. So let's do this. And one other thing I have to do. Sorry. Let me go back and delete my test customer that I created. Oh, Brad, thanks for subscribing. Yay. Appreciate it, Brad. All right, let's delete. Oh, Brad's probably looking at these too. So if you want to do your own research to see what goes into those headers, feel free. Fake email. Oh, Brad, you couldn't even all right, so that worked. Now, any suggestions on how to filter? Because I don't. Is that considered an XHR request? Logger user verify. Look for fetch request. Reload. Jeez. User verify. It does one for user verify and another one for subscriptions. Then one for test course. Oh, this thing. Okay. So test course subscriber. That's interesting because that's a Francis saying they could block calls from specific origins and return. Yeah, it might work on localhost because they accept them for their dev. Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. This is not. That's for subscriber. I actually don't fully know which one of these is correct because I don't think it's this one because this is getting the information for a specific subscriber. Test course. Okay, so here's where we just log the page, right? And then icons. What's the sixth one? Okay, reload user. Don't think it's not user verify. It's not that one. That does that have a payload in it? Subscriber. That's looking at an actual like subscriber looking for a post. That is true. Is there a good way to... Does it not show like HTTP method in here? Am I just missing it? Check the payload command. Am I totally blanking out on how to see this? Because I'm not... Brad, did you find the specific request? Because I don't think it's the one that's test course. Because this is already passing. This is like something after. Because this is passing a subscriber ID. Subscriptions. Yes, it should be that one. Tech Lars, did I add any headers? Not yet. So that's one thing that that's one thing we're trying to figure out now. Brad saying it's a post request to subscriptions. Yes, I agree. But I don't see that on mine, and I'm not sure why. At the top in the filter. Oh, cool. I actually didn't even see that. Method post. And I don't see the subscribe. How did I miss that? Well, no, that's not the one we're looking for. Subscript. Did you do a sign up? I did. Yeah, Joseph, it's stand up time. Yeah, so this is wild. Okay, so let's go back to Podia. You can see, hopefully, I think this is me. That's me. Delete that. I have no account in here. Then we take James, we take email, we preserve log, and we do this. And nowhere in here do I have... Why don't I see this? Because the one... So here's another thing I could do, or I could show you, is the form in here. Somewhere. So this thing actually shows you, like, this is the request that I'm looking for, but I can't actually find that. And I'm curious how you're able to see that. It's because you filter. So. Okay. Well, thank you, Christian. It is a full page submit. That's why I was wondering if that's considered a fetch XHR request. So it's not. Okay. So we're looking at this. So the response, this is submitting to email list ID, subscriptions, post request, and it sends to Brad's point. It sends a gCAPTCHA response, name and email. User verify is where the reCAPTCHA response is created from. Huh. Okay. So is there any way I can fake that? So does that mean it's doing verification of this gCAPTCHA response on the back end? It is, okay. Look at what it sends, user verify. Oh my God, I have no idea what that means. Let's look at verify. Oh gosh. Wonder if you need to do a reCAPTCHA if you're issuing from server. Alexander, you need a different mailing list provider. That may be part of the answer. So the shortest answer right now is I'll just have it redirect over to the Podia domain, but I'm actually really open to other things and maybe a different platform, because Podia is really amazing, but has some very obvious limitations that seem like they shouldn't be limitations. Brad's gonna look into Substack. I'm curious about a lot of things. A friend of mine just mentioned Kajabi for a course platform, and they do email stuff as well. And he said he was really excited about them. Brad, you said when review got shut down. Yeah, I understand that. Wonder if you need to do a recapture for issuing it from the server. Direct them. It seems like that is the same key. You can copy and paste that maybe. Just roll your on. Not what I'm gonna do. Daniela, they do have a Zapier integration that you might be able to patch in to make things run from your custom site. So Daniela, unless I'm missing something, and please correct me if I don't understand fully. My understanding of the integration is if I do a sign up through Podia, it can then add somebody to MailChimp or ConvertKit, but not the other way around. So I think I would still have the original limitation of how to trigger that sign up from my personal website to Podia, I think. Constant sign will be able to be verified by the server. Okay. Hey James. Oh, Chrissy, what's up? I don't know if you saw the question yet, but do you have any tips on doing a newsletter via GitHub sponsor? I'm not even sure what you mean. How are the newsletter and the GitHub sponsor? Like, are you including a sponsor in a newsletter that you do? Is that what you're doing? For my newsletter, I just have like a sponsor blurb. So I just have that like kind of in the middle of the newsletter, and it says like sponsored by so and so. So that's what I do. Danielle, let me know if I'm missing anything or I'm not considering something on that Zapier integration, because I don't think we can actually go to Zapier. It would be really interesting if there was an action to take some input and then create the person inside of Podia. Chrissy creating one in GitHub. I don't know anything about that, unfortunately. So yeah, I don't know if anyone else has done newsletters inside of GitHub before. I didn't even know that was a thing. So unfortunately, I don't have any ideas there. Let's see. Let's do Podia. Let's do like MailChimp just as a test. So when I get a new customer, subscribe a customer in Podia when new. Oh, interesting. So I can go. Okay. That's cool. I wonder how much I would end up having to pay for this. I don't know if I want to use MailChimp. What else, out of curiosity, do we have? Do they have a Beehive integration? Not. I got a piece out. Brad, thanks for checking in, man. I appreciate you looking. Also, let me pause really quickly. Any of the suggestions that people made for testing these out and something I might be missing, is there anything that I haven't addressed yet that we need to check? Because I feel like I went through them all and I'm still kind of SOL, but I'm not positive that's true. So let me know. Split software. I don't know if you mean to be logged in the Split, but Chris, what's up? What's going on, Demars? All right, so this is interesting. So I potentially can go from an external, and I'm sure they have ConvertKit. What are other big email providers? I just wanted to pop in and say hi. Appreciate it. Chris, what are your upcoming, like what's your conference schedule look like? I don't know. I don't fully know what mine looks like. I should still be going to Render in Atlanta in May, which I'm looking forward to. But we have MailChimp. We have, I wonder, do they just have a search for like email by Zapier? Interesting. Do they have a search for like the integrations? Maybe, maybe not. Email, or let's see, Zapier email providers. SendGrid, MailChimp. Oh, these are different. These are transactional ones. Oh wait, email by Zapier. No, this is email by Zapier. Just gonna email by Zapier. Thousands of most popular apps. Okay, so at the very least, I could go ConvertKit if I wanted to. I could go MailChimp if I wanted to. I'm nervous those will be expensive. I've been using Mailgun for sending emails. Not sure how good is their newsletter. Interesting. Okay. Wouldn't there probably also be just a webhook so that you could send a post to a certain input? That is interesting. That is real interesting. Daniela, that seems like genius. Catch raw hook, retrieve poll, catch hook, scribe a customer. Huh. Okay. Did you drive her on Twitch? What's up? Mailgun's pretty good. I've heard good things. I haven't specifically used it myself. Christoph, sorry for not being able to help more. Had to leave. Yeah, I hope I'll get it fixed too. It sounds like we've got a couple of potential ideas here for a workaround in the meantime. But thanks for joining. I'll see you later. So Daniela, have you used these before, like the webhooks? It's really interesting. For sending so reliable and cheap mailgun. So yeah, but Stefan, how are you using those exactly? So you're not using them for a newsletter. You're like, if people sign up for something, you send them like a welcome email type thing, like that kind of stuff. Demars, you're all over the place. Star Trek, Chain React, ViewConf, Scenic City Summit, KCDC, DatConf, Wisconsin, DevReach. You are all over the place. That's cool. Nice, super cool. Daniela, not really, but I have a friend who has. So you know what's annoying to me? The fact that you can do this means that the API in Podia exists. They just only have it accessible for certain products. When me as a developer, I'm like, if you just gave me access to the API, I would never leave your platform. But now I may be having to leave the platform because of lack of API integration. Price range, this Zapier actually gets, I say relatively expensive. It depends on it's all relative. So Zapier, I meant to do Zapier pricing. Let's take a look at that really quickly. So 750 tasks. And I'm like, see, I could get it'd be really annoying because I could, in theory, I have no idea how many people I'll have interested in this. I have no idea newsletters or how many subscribers. But this would be a lot. You know what I mean? Like if I actually had 10,000 people sign up out of curiosity, that would be a lot. Especially even more if you pay monthly. Oh shit. Yeah. Saw a tweet for OS 1. Let me find it. No Zapier. There's an OS 1 for cheap. What's an OS 1? What do you mean? Yeah, Ali, I would love to get access. I've asked about API access before and they just say no, we don't have one available, basically, is what it comes down to. So this is, open source. Gotcha. But see, the problem is if it's an open source one, I can almost guarantee you they don't have a Podia integration because then we'd have the source code for the Podia integration, right? So basically the problem that we came up with is they're sending a verification code. They're sending something to the server. They send back a verification code that then gets included in the subsequent request. And I don't have the ability to do that. Yeah. No full circle on OS. What do you mean by full circle? Also, as a developer, I don't know how I didn't think about OS being open source. Now that you say that, it seems very very what am I trying to say? It makes a lot of sense now that you said, very obvious is what I'm trying to say. So let's, I'm gonna upgrade to the free. Okay, let's actually try this out and see if this works. OS sounds like operating system. Yeah, that too. So let's actually create one. Home, private folders, add a private folder. Sure, let's try this. Course, platform. And then inside of here, I want to create a new Zap. And we're gonna go from web. Oh shit. Will I be able to do that? Given the request body unparsed. Gives the request body unparsed. Yes. No, I actually don't need to request that yet. Let's continue. We'll come back to that. Were you saying Podia? Yes, great question. Always stop me if I say stuff that is not obvious. Nate, what's up, by the way? Thanks for hanging out with us. Yes, Podia is the course platform that I use for my courses. Maybe we should say OSS for open source. Naming things is hard, and acronyms is even harder. Agreed. Yes. Yep. Absolutely. So in here, now I want to go to Podia and I want to do action, choose an event, enroll a customer, subscribe a customer to a membership plan, enroll a customer, add an email, unsubscribe, add an email. I wonder, got it. I've used Podia for a client. Nice. Yeah. Secure with Zapier, encrypted, can be moved anytime. Okay. Email list. Is this going to pull what I need? This one. Yes. Thank you. Email. Oh, I didn't finish this. So how do I tell it to grab certain pieces of information? Or are they just saying I need to test it? Open up Postman and test this. Great question. Why Podia in the first place? So Podia has lots of powerful tools for creating lots of different types of products. So in that sense, it works really nice. The downside of Podia is that it has a limited editing capabilities for pages, and it doesn't have an API. That's basically what it comes down to. The big reason financially that it makes sense is it's a course platform and an email provider with unlimited emails for $80 a month, $90 a month. If you look at email in other places, it's like much more expensive. It's probably much more expensive for just the email part in something like ConvertKit. If that makes sense. Okay, I'm gonna send. I'm gonna bring this up here, and let's make a post request here, and let's do body, email, etc. Okay, it says success. Generate a webhook. Test trigger. Request A. Yes. Okay. So that works. Email list will be modern websites. Email will come from this, not just the raw body. Does that work? Just the raw body? That feels form. That feels like that doesn't make sense. Like this doesn't. Is that? How do I get the email specifically? Email is blank or invalid. Yep. Because anybody see like how I actually get the email? Raw body headers. Wow, there's a lot of stuff in here. Okay. This is silly, right? Because I should just be able to get the email. Like it gives me no UI to actually pick out the property from the post request. Am I crazy? Cindy is the one. Cindy is an email. I think I've heard of that one too. Oh, I've heard of that. Someone mentioned this earlier. It's like a self-hosted thing where you host it on Amazon. Yeah, that's interesting. Personally, I would rather not have to do like a self-hosted one. Yeah, obviously it's way cheaper. Which is why like this Podia thing would be so great if it worked. Where I could like include the newsletter on my own and not have to redirect them. But does anyone see like this has no ability to actually get stuff from this post request? Like I don't understand what they're thinking. I don't know if raw hook. Okay, raw hook. So not raw then? Maybe is that specifically the difference? Pick off a child. Zapier gives you. Okay, so. Is this the same URL? Result list. A result list. Jeez. I thought Zapier was like really good, but this is not a great UI. Key value pair we found. Result list should hold. Is this not? So does this just want, maybe I just need to send it as a JSON? So if I just send it as raw JSON, maybe? Is that what they were looking for? But I don't know how this isn't easier. Trigger. Am I completely off base here? How is it giving me? How is it giving me that? Like I'm not telling it a results list must hold children that are objects. I'm clearly sending this as an object, right? Pick off a child key. This, like that language also doesn't make any sense. By default, Zapier gives the entire payload. If this is specified, Zapier will only grab the child key from the objects sent to Zapier. For example, given and contact here. Add contact here to only return traverse. Change email to make sure it's getting fresh data. Great point. So test@gmail.com. A result list must hold children that are objects. This is silly. Yeah, it's silent if your application prefers getting an empty response. This is ridiculous. Right? The trick is to not use Zapier. If I had the option that I wanted for this thing, that would be great. Set the webhook trigger. Pick off. This is a specific key you want Zapier to use from the request. This is useful if you only want a subset of data that's sent. What the hell? What is the problem? Diamond, so I'm trying to not have to redirect people to the Podia domain to handle subscriptions for the waitlist for my course or for the updates for course. And I haven't figured out a way to do that in my own code. Now I'm trying to see if I can send, since Podia has API integration with, or excuse me, Zapier has API integration with Podia. I was hoping to trigger something in Zapier that would then forward it on to Podia and it work. But I can't even figure out how to work with a freaking webhook, which is so silly. I mean, this is ridiculous. The 3 most recent line be Zapier will separate each field from your webhook data, which lets you use them in later steps. It has sending more than one event, trigger multiple zaps with webhooks, webhook throttling. I don't get it. This actually makes no sense. Can I go back to form data? I'm so confused. Like actually so confused. Never had too much issue with Zapier, but I think their docs are not great. I mean, this is like, I think webhooks would be the simplest integration. One, like I'm blown away. Like I just can't even picture, like, it looks like it wants an array of objects. Yeah, but how is it getting, like, how is it getting the email first of all? Like it wants an array of objects, but where? Like inside of raw JSON? Like that? What? How and why? Why? Like what is the great call, by the way, Daniela? Thank you for clarifying that. And I read that many times and I couldn't, like, why? How? When do you send as raw JSON an array of object? What is the second object for? Like, what could you send multiple objects for? Okay. Continue. Add Podia action, not the raw body. This makes more sense to get the email. Yes. Continue. Email list ID. Yes. Test action. Get out of here. Email. No, don't take me there because it needs a list of fields. Stefan, I'm still, but it want, like, why an array of objects? So, okay, let's back up. I understand there are times to send an array as JSON data. Here's a list of blog posts. Here's an array of updates. Get it. Totally get that. What possible use case is there for Zapier to have an array of objects, though? Like, I don't get the association there. That doesn't. Okay, so Ali is saying maybe you could do multiple emails, potentially. That's a very odd way to display that to me, but I can't associate. I can't figure out why there would be an association. Arthur on YouTube, what's up? That's how it knows which field you sent to them. If you, Stefan, if you sent like I don't see anything between your like this message and your that's how it knows which fields you sent to them. I don't know if there's something in between. But I still don't, like, it would know what fields you sent to it based on the object, not based on an array. Email test. And I still don't know. You see the previous docs, they show they show array of objects. But I'm still just not understanding why there would be a use case. Why that would be. If it's in the docs, it's interesting. But I still don't understand why it would be that way in the first place. I also don't understand why this failed. Like, it literally, email is blank or invalid. It literally shows me the email coming through in here. Like, I've got email. Is it a, okay, maybe it's because it's tests. Maybe they're smart enough. That would actually be interesting if they were smart enough to detect that. So let's go back to action, refresh. Oh no. Maybe Podia is completely bored, maybe. Stefan, if you had more fields beside email, it would be the first name, last name, and so on. That's why it needs an array like that. So Stefan, you're saying, like, I wouldn't send it like this? You're saying instead they expect you to send it like that? Or like, posted a non-array and accepted it. Nate, thanks for checking on that. Okay, if this is the case and you're actually supposed to send, oh, does anybody have a link to the docs? People have kind of referenced them a couple times. I'm not sure, but I would play with that. Okay, but can we talk about how stupid this is, though? If this is what, I think it's an array because they're expecting one big hit to the webhook endpoint to run the integration multiple times at once. If that's the thing, if it's like a batching thing, got it. Does it reference like batching in the doc? And does anybody have a link to the docs that you've been looking at? If it's there for batching, I get it. But also this thing like didn't refresh fields, test. It's still getting email. I wanted to get this latest email. Refresh fields. But it's still showing. Gosh. That is request A. I know I'm going to sound like I'm a hater, but this is a terrible experience. I don't know, like maybe it's much more obvious to everyone else, but everything about this has been a mess for me so far. Hater, and I'm okay being a hater. That's okay. So this whole thing is actually broken then, because I could test this with a regular email and it just doesn't work. It could be that like the Podia side is actually broken. I love the idea of Zapier, but this is a mess, and I can't even get through what should be in theory like a very basic thing. So I'm I'm just kind of out on this. I mean, I could leave it there. Can you open the action? The action is this. So subscribe them to an email list, which is that one. Boom. Actually, it wasn't that one. It wasn't meant to be that one. It is this one. Has the email. Continue. That's all the stuff that they ask for. Test it. Podia sucks. Every time I use Zapier, it's a dumpster fire. I guess one of those things that seems like a golden idea in theory, but failed steeply in execution. Dale, thanks for bringing that up in the first place. I think it was you that mentioned that originally. That seems like a great idea, but no, it's not cheap. It's definitely not cheap, which that would be a concern. So right now, I am back to having to do redirects. Daniela, not your fault at all. That is product's fault for not being able to do the thing that it should be able to do. So the short answer is I don't have an answer, which sucks. So this is the main one, and this will be same thing, I'm sure. Yeah. For as much as I have used Zapier, I prefer Make, but they don't seem to have a Podia integration. I haven't heard of Make. Maybe a Podia alternative is the easier way. Yeah, it may be. And I'm kind of trying, like, I want to balance, like, I don't want to postpone everything that I'm doing. I also like Kajabi. I don't know how you spell it. Kajabi course platform. This is what someone mentioned today that they were looking at, which seems really interesting. They have an API, which is amazing. If anybody's curious and checking this out. Nate mentioned building a course platform, a million times of work that I don't feel like taking on. And so I'm going to do everything I can to avoid that. And Christian saw Kajabi. So this is one that a friend of mine said was good. Another friend is already using it. Kajabi API. Developer docs. Well, this is like an API. I'll build you a course platform for the cheap price of $42,069. Well, ideally, I would like to make more than that on courses, so maybe it'll make sense one day. We did research for client on. Oh, Nate, that would be so useful if you did have that info. Is there like a developer.kajabi.com? I guess subdomain. I'll put you down as a potential lead. Please do. Which this is also interesting too, because I feel like this is not a great look if like I don't actually see documentation on this. Kajabi API streamlines third-party integration. Third-party integrations, API key, credentials, how to integrate into other apps. Two most common are Zapier. Yeah, but I want through API. So this doesn't seem like a great sign to me, because none of these actually talk about the actual documentation for an API, which makes me think that there's not a good way to do that. So I don't know, too many things. Did we ever get did we look in here for the most recent? Refresh this. Last hour. So we see that. 500. That thing which has nothing. Response. Readable string. Oh, they have a a readable stream for the body, but because obviously expensive though to even get started. Seems like it is expensive, and I'm willing to pay for it if it, because the big thing, the biggest cost it seems like is email. So if I just wanted to do email and ConvertKit, like I'd be spending hundreds of dollars a month, a few $100s at least. One sec, I need to check. Yeah, I gotta pick up my nephew in 30 minutes. Anyways, I'm basically at a loss, to be honest, and it's frustrating. Thought I could do this the way I wanted to, and apparently I can't. So for now, I need to go back to this, logs and redirect on email form submission. I need to go back to redirecting people over there. Teachable with an API. I think Teachable, does Teachable do email? Teachable newsletter. Maybe they do. Teachable create newsletter. Your mailing list. Do you keep the mailing list in Teachable? Yeah. Definitely could be. I'd definitely go with the open source one long term, way better. Which, Stefan, remind me which one? Open source course platform or open source transactional email? Probably let's build one. I love the idea of that. Actually, I hate the idea of that. I love the idea of building something, but course platforms are so big. Like it takes so many hours to do that in a way that works. And I don't want to have people pay for a course and then have bugs and have to be on call support for that. What part of email costs is scared of you? I built a microservice on Azure that sent millions of emails per month. Mailgun a year ago wasn't all that expensive or time consuming. So Joseph, I was specifically talking about like bigger picture, like big course platform type thing with email. And yes, I could potentially do that, but I still then have the big downside is that being disconnected from course platform. So the benefit of Podia is having emails and course platform all into one platform, which is really great. And even if I were to build my own newsletter thing, it still wouldn't be in a way that I think would help me. But there's lots that go into that, right? Like there's the email builder, like how do you actually send the emails? Like what sort of dashboard do you have for sending the emails? What sort of design capabilities do you, like you're basically building a lot of functionality. You have to build all the credit operations around your subscribers. You have to build the dashboard to view them, to do all those things, to send emails, to send, like there's a ton of stuff that goes into that. I think with almost everything that we look at and we're like, oh, we could just build that. It seems relatively simple, and then it just really isn't long term. Diamond says he'll build it in a week. Love it. I think someone mentioned full pricing. Pro coaching, downloads, students, custom domain, direct integrations, public API. So that's with the $119 tier a month. Advanced customization, only with the business one, which is, can't even see. Email marketing, affiliate marketing. I wonder what the email marketing means specifically. Email support. Yeah. MVP in a weekend, expected outcome, never. Sounds right. It's a rough life out here. Podia, I feel like Podia is like this close to having to like shutting down all the worries that I have. And they're not like super complicated things. It doesn't seem like. Just don't allow it though. Okay. That's fine. I'll do this for now. For what it's worth, in the last couple of minutes that I have, I would love, that's not what I meant to do. Of course. I would love any feedback whatsoever on this landing page, particular things that I'm interested in. Design, any layout bugs on different screens, that sort of stuff. Metadata, accessibility, that sort of stuff, and copy, like the actual text on it, and how to improve that to help, I mean, ultimately sell courses is what it comes down to. But I'd love any feedback if anyone has the chance to take a look at that. I would sincerely appreciate it. Maybe you need to pull the ear of someone at Podia and see if they have some insight that might just fix everything for you. Maybe it might. Yeah. Gosh, I feel like we got an answer to the problem, or we got an answer to why it's happening, but no, like, we can fix it. And that's frustrating to still be in that same place. But landing page is like MVP version is ready, which is good. So check that out. Let me know if you have any feedback or thoughts. I need to go get ready to pick up my nephew, but thanks everyone for trying to help. I appreciate it. It's been fun. I enjoyed it. If you have ideas for other content, tutorials, streams, that sort of stuff, let me know that as well. If you want to connect after the fact and you're not already, you can join the Learn, Build, Teach Discord. It's a Discord community that I run. So if you're interested in hanging out with us there, please do. In the meantime, I'm going to sign off. Catch you all later. Have a good one.